To keep the through line going, this is a crazy story coming out of the Washington Post. Pentagon opens sweeping review of clandestine psychological operations.
Holy crap.
Complaints about the U.S. military's influence operations using Facebook and Twitter have raised concerns in the White House and federal agencies. How about that?
What?
Luke?
Yeah.
How about that?
You're right.
I saw the story. I did a report on it earlier today, and Facebook and Twitter surprisingly also took action on this and removed accounts that were running what is being described here by even the Pentagon, U.S. psychological operations that were being run on the American people. These were clandestine psyopses that were, of course, pushing a narrative, pushing an agenda, using your tax dollars to open up social media accounts in order to brainwash the American public. This is an extremely dangerous story.
Let me read this. The researchers did not specify when the takedowns occurred, but those familiar with the matter said they were within the past 2 or 3 years. Some were recent and involved posts from the summer that advanced anti-Russian narratives citing the Kremlin's imperialist war in Ukraine and warning of the conflict's direct impact on Central Asian countries. Significantly, they found that the pretend personas employing tactics used by countries such as Russia and China did not gain much traction, and that overt accounts actually attracted more followers. So what do you see when you go on Reddit? It is laughable. I'm sorry. There are people who fall for this, but here's the sorting algorithm of the left and the right in the culture war. When you go on Reddit and you see a video of a Ukrainian guy and he's like smoking a cigar and he's laughing and he's like, this is what I think of Russia, haha, and they flip the cigarette and they all high five each other. Like, that's propaganda. You have cyber command, you have psychological operations, you have them producing this content, faking it so that they can put it out there and convince you that we're better, we're stronger, we're going to win this war. Now, I don't have an issue with it to a certain degree, but it is extremely annoying often when you know these videos are outright propaganda. And then what happens? Now we're seeing Vladimir Putin raining these incendiary devices all over cities, threatening to mass mobilize the entirety of Russia, and that there's fear he could potentially open a second front, maybe Finland, we don't know. But all the propagandists in the military keep doing is saying Ukraine's winning, Russia's losing, Russia can't win. And then Russia isn't even using their pinky in this conflict. They're, to be fair, they're getting pushed back. Ukrainian forces with NATO's assistance are advancing. All that's true. But what they want you to do, they want you to believe that Russia could never win for morale reasons. They want people to put up the Ukrainian flags. We drive down here in Virginia. There's a little small town you got to drive through when you're passing through. And they have big, we stand with Ukraine. And I'm like, you couldn't point to where Ukraine was on a map.
Right.
Yeah. It is psychological operations to convince the American people to support mass spending of war.
Yeah, all of this as, of course, Western politicians like Boris Johnson are on record telling Zelensky not to come to negotiations, not to offer peace, not to try to stop the conflict. This was another bombshell story that I think is definitely worth talking about, is the Western governments telling Ukraine, hey, no peace deal, no negotiations here, continue the war. This is a perpetual war that I called out from the very beginning. CNN was telling you it was only going to last a few days. I was telling you, hey, it's probably going to last a few years, might even last 10 years, might even last forever, with the way that, of course, the military-industrial complex is shaping itself and the way that they've been funding themselves and the way that the stocks have been, of course, increasing. But again, these PSYOP pages here are worth noting because the Pentagon is going to be ordering an audit on the DoD for these psychological operations that are played out on the American people. And this is what we know about. What don't we know about? What else is happening behind the scenes when it comes to psyops? Since, of course, again, information has been weaponized, and it has been weaponized against the best interest of the American people.